Good morning from the garden. This is Dame's place, and I wanted to continue with yesterday. I'm trying to tell these stories about Attica and how I came to work there and what I learned from my experiences there and how you can possibly implement those lessons in your life, because they were good lessons to learn. Some were not, but some were. So I was told about my jobs yesterday. If you go to yesterday's video, I'm going to try to do this every morning, although I'm late, and talked about where I worked in Attica Prison for 15 years. And I'm going to show you this little map I drew, I hope. Let me make sure I'm on the right. Okay. So this is the front gate. This is a wall around Attica, a huge wall. And I would have to come in here and walk. This was an office, chart office. That little garden was here. This is a walkway. These are brick buildings. There's a green space here, all like a castle. And I think it's 5 acres. And this is going back into the prison, and this is Times Square where the riot kicked off. And my office was over here, and it looked out, over, this is like a courtyard in the hospitals. Visiting rooms are over here. I would go here, and there was a little barbecue area. I had to work, that was another thing I had to do, like sell tickets for, selling tickets is something in, like, don't sell wolf tickets, but these were to wear dress down clothes on Fridays on pay week, and we had barbecues on pay week, and a different department did it every time, every pay week that they had. It would be maybe the guidance unit, then it would be the maintenance department, and then another time it would be my department, like whatever it was. Usually I was there every week because I had to go office to office and sell the girls. If they paid $1, they could wear jeans. Sold those tickets. Then you did a raffle, and they'd win, like, I think a prize or money from the bucket that they collected or something for those tickets for the dress down day. So say I'd get $70, $80 for it, then they'd get 40, and 40 went into an employee foundation, like employee fund. Okay, so now I wanted to talk about some of the jobs. So you can screen. Okay, there was a slowdown. Okay, so shift swaps. When I worked in the chart office, part of my job was shift swaps. That's about 50 of them a day, sometimes 50 from one officer. That's for 2 officers, which it's one of the things why officers like it is you can shift your swap and another officer can cover it. And in 1 year, you work a shift back for him and you're good. There's no money exchange, and you can just cover each other's shifts. People do that for months at a time. They'll work a whole double for the winter to take off the whole summer for a side job, painting or whatever they do. As well, and they could swap their vacations, the entire vacation. I've got A vacation, you've got C vacation. Mine's in November, yours is in April. We're going to Florida, and they could do that. And I had to keep record of all those, 600 guards of those. It was crazy. And okay, so that was one part of it. Another part is getting the inmate records together, packing it. I had to make sure in the chart office that all the records came when an inmate was transferring out, or they got to come in, but when they're transferring out, I have to have guidance units send their records, discipline send their records, and the hospital, any medical records, and have that in boxes, and they pack it on the bus. The CO comes in, picks up the boxes, and takes them and puts them on the bus with the guy wherever he's going, and those follow him right to his next place. So I had to call all those departments and make sure that they had everything, which was always a hassle because, they didn't. And these are every day. Every day I'm planning medical trips, funeral trips, trips for cancer treatment, all kinds of medical, not just one place. There's a few places they went on a regular basis for kidneys, for a lot of different things. We had a hospital at Attica, but it wasn't like an in-hospital. They sent most guys to Wendy, but if it was an emergency or just cancer treatment, they somehow found the money. So inmates get the cancer treatment and get rides back and forth, and, they had guys that were working through their cancer treatment because their union didn't have an agreement on that for time off. If you were out, you were out. It was creating a yucky environment because a lot of people had cancer as well. But I digress. So, okay, so funeral trips would be, a lot of guys going to New York City, and there's a report on that. I posted on Attica Prison Survivor Stories on IG, and you'll see it says the Clinton report, and that's a report about John Gotti, a bunch of mob guys, and how the guards would take them to see their girlfriends, leave them in a hotel, and then they'd go beat feet for the day or whatever it was for the trip, and then they pick them up and take them back. is you can go online. It's all on the Clinton report from 1980, and it was a report on transgressions in that correctional facility, and Attica's named in it a lot. So they'd say like Attica is the way to do it, like things that happen. I can't remember specifically. I don't have it on me, but you can just read it. I've seen it online. I think the attachment's on there. But anyway, so I also did overtime in the commissary. I had to make sure when I worked in the chart office that the commissary sheet was right. So whatever they sold the night before in the commissary, stamps, cigarettes, food, like a grocery store really, but not. But they fill out paperwork, and I had to make sure everything on their form, your commissary form, is in their box ready to go. And like when I'm back there, it was overtime, and they mandated me for it. And the first one I signed up for, and then when I went back there for a night, I thought, I don't want to go back again. It was scary. There was, 6-8 inmates, and there was only 3 of us girls, and 2 of the girls were real tight with the inmates. And, I didn't know what was going on, and I didn't trust any of it because you're back there with no CO, and the sergeant comes to take his, attendance at the end of the night, you could call it. He came back and smoked. He was a decent guy, but he'd come back and smoke a stogie. And like when we would be counting up, you had to count the stamps every night, the cigarettes left over, everything had to be accounted for. And then that sheet goes to the chart office, that was my other job. So then I got to get that sheet. And it's usually about $1,000 a night. I mean, that's what a jail makes. And I would say it was about $1,000 a night in commissary sales that had to be, it's not cash, but that's going through the business office. And there's records for that. When you cash them out, you're putting all their stuff, it comes up on a computer screen, and that's how that works, because I worked the cash register there. Oddly, there was a guy, I was terrified, right? And I wasn't terrified at first. I don't know why. It was real good money. I think it was like $45 an hour or something. It was almost like triple time what I made. And I thought, it won't be too bad. And there was girls back there that I knew. I thought I knew, I had training with them a couple times. They were cool. One of them was cool. One of them was not. And I said again. It just was, it was off the chain. They had to tell you, like, watch out, like, inmates will hit you in the head with a can. Don't lean, forward real far. Make sure if they don't have their stuff, you're ready with an answer, because they get real uptight. And, you fight in the hallway. One little guard, one little lady, she was the nicest lady. She probably weighed 120 pounds soaking wet. And she would be in that with 60 inmates waiting to get their stuff in commissary. And you got another guy that'll take your stuff off you. I mean, it's a dangerous spot to be in. The other guard that's on that job is at the gate. So she's by herself in the hallway outside the commissary, and she's brave as brave could be, because I was locked in the commissary. I only had 8 inmates in there with me, but that'll do you. And I was always told, one dead civilian woman is worth 6 posts. That's 6 jobs, 3 shifts, probably 2 alternates. So you're dead civilian, and that job is going to get posts. That's union money. That's votes. That's votes. Okay, that's going to get a union guy. People don't want to see that. So maybe you can get, some more juice for your guards or something. But even they don't even do that now. Nobody can really, I don't think they care about anybody behind the wall at all anymore. But I knew that there was no value. My value was, I was worth way more dead than alive. So because it was like that, and it was a little odd with the chicks in there, I said, I want to get out. And come to find out, that's what they wanted to hear. They were looking at what was going on back there. But I didn't, well, you don't know me, but I just felt like if you walk with Jesus and you tell him about God, what can you do? Like I'm salty with my swearing. I can get down like the worst of them, but if you treat people how you want them to be and give them the respect that they may or may not deserve in your eyes according to the crime. Because I said something about another inmate, Dr. Reza, that I got the garden from, and I was like, he was nice to me. You understand that he shouldn't have been in the front. He should have never been working around women. He had committed a crime he killed his wife, and it was a horrible way he did it. So he shouldn't have been really around women working, because that could be triggering for somebody. But everybody acted like they didn't really know. Just like if I said, another case, and the TV was talking to him, or the neighbor's dog was talking to him, always telling people bad stuff. Like Berkowitz had that happen, Mark David Chapman had that happen in their files and stuff. And new people would come in, because we did a review every month. They had to type this review of all the inmates coming in, what their issues were, who they were linked up with gang-wise, Latin Kings, Bloods, Crips, whoever it was. and I would have to, read their crime. I had to read everybody's crimes when I worked in inmate records on the civil commitments. That was the sex offenders, for them to be civilly committed for life after they served their sentence. So I had to read those cases all the time, and there was a lot of cases like that. And when you'd say that in a meeting, like, oh, another dog talking, everybody would kind of like look at you like, oh yeah, they're lying or something. Like, I mean, now we acknowledge that targeted individuals are targeted individuals, and there's many methods of having ways to communicate with people that are not on the up and up, on the, it's not a phone call like that. So now that we know that, so that was really targeted individuals that end up becoming triggered individuals that were serial killers in some cases. I definitely think that, but there's also people that get away with it and are out there, and there's plenty of cases. There was a guy up in Washington recently, I think, that they showed. But anyway, so my job was getting those things together. How many minutes am I at? 11. Okay, well, it's still recording. Here's Kitty. This is her status. Here's a painting I'm working on. Boop. Here's a place I worked when I first got here. I want to show you that. Left Coast Vineyards. It was really nice. If you ever come to Oregon, oopsie. If you ever come to Oregon, maybe give this a thought. If you drink, we don't drink. We don't drink. We don't drink, but if you do, it's a beautiful place. It was really pretty. You can eat out in the vineyards. We're in wine country here. Oh, look at Kitty. She's drinking her water with her flowers. So, let me look at my notes here and see if there's anything. Transfer. Oh, yeah, the transfers. Okay. I also work transfers. I'll leave this up kind of so you can see my... I worked, you had to have transfer orders. Guys move from jail to jail. They move them for a lot of various reasons, like I said the other day. Sometimes they'd come for their end of, see that squirrel? He's fast. They'd have to do their last 6 months a year, maybe, in Attica. But a lot of times that was a jam up, I feel now, like looking back, like for them to have a problem with somebody that was incarcerated already there, and they put them in the same place, and to see what would shake out. So that guy's going to get another charge. Something's going to pop off, because they knew who all the gangbangers were.